am standing on the edge of a swampy area, as you can see. By definition, that's a forested area that is inundated by water at least part of the year. And it is late March, which by me means still very early spring. You can see very little is out now. The green that we see is mostly mosses, many of which stay green through the winter, and we've got our conifers, white pines and hemlocks mostly. There's small patches of evergreen herbaceous plants like those lycopods, club mosses over there. There's some partridge berry by my feet right here. However, if we look around, we start to see some green plants emerging here in the muck of the mud in the shallow parts of the swamp. And this is all skunk cabbage. Simplocarpus foetidus. Foetidus meaning fetid or rotting smelling, which the flower, the inflorescence, very much is. You'll have to take my word for it. You see that very otherworldly, alien-like inflorescence here, which generally comes out even before the leaves start to emerge, which you can see the leaves starting to emerge now. There's another inflorescence right here. And take my word for it, they don't smell so good, not to us at least. They are fly pollinated, which many times when there are flowers or inflorescences that do not smell good to us as humans, it's because they're attracting something else, like flies. Anyway, this plant is in the arum family, the Ericaceae family, and it's a fairly easy family to learn to recognize if you can see it at a time where the inflorescence is out. They generally come in the form of a spathe, which is a bract, shaped often like a hood, like this is, kind of camouflaged into the forest floor. And then that spathe protects the spadix inside, you see there, which is actually where the flowers are. And in the case of this species, it is bisexual, so it has both pollen-producing and egg-producing flowers on that spadix. And what's one of the interesting things ecologically about skunk cabbage is that that spathe is actually thermogenic. It produces enough body heat, if you will, to actually be able to melt through some snow and cold ground to emerge very early in the springtime. And there are just a handful of plants worldwide that are able to do that. All plants have some body heat. If you think about it, there's metabolic activity. So they are actually, even, these trees, etc., are just slightly above the surrounding temperature, but not much at all. So this is an exception so that it can flower effectively in the very early spring. Medicinally, skunk cabbage is really fascinating. It has an incredibly acrid flavor, and we're talking about the underground parts of the plant. It's a very low-dose herb. You don't want to overdo skunk cabbage. It is high in calcium oxalate crystals called rhaphides, which are kind of needle-shaped and can be quite painful, actually, if you were to go just eat the root or the rhizomes. Don't do that. But that said, the acrid flavor, almost always when an herbal remedy has an acrid flavor, it reflects an activity of calming wind, as it's called in Chinese medicine. And this herb very much calms wind, in particular respiratory, spasmodic coughing, for instance. And you use it in very low doses in combination with gentler herbs. Also good for muscular spasming and cramping. And so we see that connection between acrid, calming wind, and antispasmodic. One last thing I'll say about skunk cabbage is they are perennial. They come back every year. The root system survives under the ground for the winter. and nobody actually knows how old they get. These plants might be ancient, not these exact plants, right? But some of the older skunk cabbages, we have no idea how old they get. Pretty incredible.